Our second question is from Miss Renzi from Indonesia.
Your Holiness, could you please explain more about virtuous and non-virtuous karma? Thank you.
So to simply put it, those actions which bring about good results are good karmas. Those which bring about bad consequences are bad karmas. So when we talk about, when we say that we should create good karma and to overcome the bad karmas, we are talking about bringing about the causes of happiness more within ourselves, creating the more of those causes which bring about happiness, and avoiding the causes which bring about suffering in us. So the bad karmas which bring about unhappiness or suffering are rooted mainly in our ignorance, and also the selfishness. And so the karmas which bring about good results and bad results are good and bad karmas, respectively. Next, please.
Thank you, Your Holiness. We will now have Miss Banusa Bonsri from Thailand for the next question. Miss Banusa, your question, please.
สวัสดีค่ะ Your Holiness. Nowadays, many people in the world are facing mental health issues, namely depression, anxiety, and panic attack. What can each of us do to cope with this problem? Thank you.
As we do not want suffering but want happiness, which is natural instinct, the different sufferings and miseries, and also which are in the environment, we become unhappy, depressed, and anxious, and have panic attack. So these, in a sense, are natural, something that happens to us naturally. So suffering comes because of causes and conditions. But when you have suffering, one should not feel demoralized and discouraged. When you are in an environment where you see things being destroyed and you become anxious and unhappy and so forth, we need to take care of the environment as well by purifying the water or planting trees and plants and so forth. So we need to pay attention to environmental protection. And also, from a Dharma point of view, because we do not want suffering and we want happiness, we need to have the self-confidence by thinking about the Dharma, which teaches us how to overcome even the sufferings of aging and death in the end. So if you feel discouraged and depressed, nothing really helps. Therefore, one should develop self-confidence, because all of us, according to the theistic religions, we are all creations of the God. Whereas, so we are like children of that God, according to theistic religion. So God is full of love and does not have the will or to bring us unhappiness, suffering. So this is from the point of view of the theistic religions. Whereas in the Indian tradition and Buddhism particularly, our pain and pleasure comes through our own actions or karma, which we have created. It's not like something that came to us by chance like a lightning bolt. So we need to see what causes suffering, and we need to search or look at the causes of suffering and avoid them. So we need to have be more open-minded, have a broader view, and see whether it is possible to overcome suffering. If you see it's possible, of course, you need to put effort in overcoming it. We are born in this samsara, and therefore we are bound to have some pleasure and pain as well. So there's no use being worried, feeling worried about suffering. As Shantideva says, if there is a remedy, why be unhappy? If there is no remedy, then what is the use of being worried? And so this is a realistic approach. So the next question, please. Next question.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Hi, His Holiness. Sorry, our mother lost her signal. Okay, the next question is from Singapore. Alexis Day, please. Alexis, please ask a question.
Good morning, Your Holiness. The question is, a person who has lost a loved one might be psychologically grasping onto a sense of hope and therefore readily accepts the ideas of bardo and rebirth as a form of self-consolation. How can he or she check up on the truth, and what advice would you give for them to be able to pursue their practice even with the constant self-doubt and questioning? Thank you.
Oh yeah. Daddy.
So regarding that, if you give thought to this, this body has come from the parents, our parents, the sperm and the ovum. Merely these two coming together does not form a person, a human being. But there is what is called consciousness, which conceives within this the gameta of the sperm and the ovum. So when the consciousness enters the womb, where these two seeds of the parents come together, then a person is formed, a human being is formed, and therefore merely having the two seeds together does not form a person, a human being. Therefore there is a third course for that to happen. So that factor, the third factor, is there, which enters the gamete of the sperm and the ovum to form a person. And so, to be born as a child of one's parents, one's consciousness first enters into the womb, where the two sperm, the sperm and the ovum meets. So there are children, very young children, who are able to remember their past lives. This happens because there's something to remember for them. And then secondly, so the substantial cause of our body comes from the parents. And we can trace the substantial cause of our parents and their parents and so forth for many generations of for centuries. Whereas the mind or consciousness, regarding its substantial cause, it comes from a previous moment of consciousness, In Tantra, there is teaching on the various degrees of subtlety within the consciousness. So when we die, what happens is the states of mind or consciousness, which are very much dependent on our the body, stops functioning. And then the subtle mind, which are not so dependent on this body, goes from this life to the next. And at the time of when a person dies or has gone through the process of dying, there are people who remain in some kind of a meditative state for days on. And for example, my own senior tutor, Jabjeling Rinpoche, stayed in that state of meditation even after clinical death for over about 13 days. And so during that period of time, the body does not decompose. And there are also other people in Tibetan society there were many people whom I knew also stayed in that state of meditative state. When the doctors or physicians and scientists checked their body, they find the body did not decompose even after clinical death. And therefore, the subtle mind still is said to reside within the body while the person is in that meditative state. And so the body and the mind or consciousness must have their own substantial causes. So if there is no consciousness, then we cannot talk about the consciousness conceiving in the mother's womb as such. And so, because of the consciousness, we can talk about people being able to remember their past life and people being able to stay in that meditative state even after clinical death and so forth. And so, just as the body's substantial cause has no beginning, likewise, consciousness also has no beginning and its substantial cause. And so, from this we can prove the existence of past lives. So when someone's loved ones have died, you become very unhappy, as the questioner says. It does not help merely if you remain worried and being unhappy. So of course, your own parents of this life will also be connected to you, whether you recognize them or not, in their next life as well. Wherever they may be reborn, you will come in contact with them, whether you know them or not. So you should have this hope that sooner or later you'll be able to meet with them again. So this will be helpful because of past and future lives. So next question.